Hey, Rebecca.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, sis. How you doing today?
Great. I'm great.
Good. Girl, this
I
film
love
messed me up. It
I
messed me
love
up in the best way possible.
Oh, okay. I was
She was like, no, no. In the best way possible, because in order for this film to work, you can't hide your flaws, right? And you literally just like strip yourself naked to tell this story, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Why did you decide to do that?
because I wanted to connect with people. In order for it to feel like I could connect, it had to be intimate and honest. And with 16 millimeter specifically, it is a very limited and pulsating composition, like the
Right.
way that like what is filmed comes out. And it's, when I think about intimacy, it's like if I'm looking at my leg or if I'm looking at a body part of my partner's on a bed, or if I'm, looking at myself in the mirror, just like what intimacy looks like is actually limited and pulsating.
Mm-hmm.
So 16 millimeter to me in my brain embodies intimacy in a visual sense.
It feels very hauntingly poetic yet raw at the same time. But the way that you shot it with the 16 millimeter is absolutely beautiful, especially the shots of like the waterfall. And is that you in the water where you're surrounded by the green, like the algae and the leaves and all of that? With you face down in the water, just floating, and all that greenness that's representing the earth and all its beauty. Girl, mwah, that was really beautiful to watch. I love that. But what was a little uncomfortable, only because it resonated with me a little bit, was that moment you had with your mother, where you were trying to interview your mama and she was being special that particular day. And you were like, stop with the microaggressions. And she, like, at first, she was like, it was so funny because at first she was like, whatever. And then she thought about what you had just said to her and got in her feelings a little bit. And then a little later on, you got in your feelings a little bit. How uncomfortable was that for you? And what was the decision to keep it in there? Because as you said, you wanted to connect with people, and that was about as raw as you can get.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the things that, yeah, it was just because it was just what our relationship was during that time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my mother and I were not communicating well in that phase in my life,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, it was
Mm-hmm.
like, and that phase in her life as well. So it was just, I tried to interview my mom. It happened to be at this time in my life, which is when this film is occurring. So this is what there is to show. That I tried to interview my mom, and this is what happened.
Wow. I resonated with that because I've had some conversations like that with my mother. And my mother and I are like this. But there's every once in a while we'll have a conversation where it ends just like that. And your mother looks a lot similar to my mom. So I was like, oh, like, okay, Claudette is being called out in somebody else's film and she don't even know it. But it made me, okay, it made me laugh, but it made me look at myself the next time I go to communicate with her and we have those moments. So I say all of that to say that you wanted to connect with people with BEBA, and you connected wholeheartedly with me. And I wanted to make sure that I communicated that to you, because that more than anything else in that entire film, that's the moment I remember vividly because it connected with me that strongly. So I wanted to let you know that. I also read that your editor, Isabel, said that BEBA felt like going on a potent first date.
That's something you would say, yeah, totally.
Do you agree?
Obviously, like, I'm BEBA, or BEBA, but I would say,
Forgive me
like,
for pronouncing it, BEBA. Okay.
no, it's okay. So it's just funny because I would not, like, I think it is like a very potent first date, for sure. Like, if you overshare. You know?
And scene. I also want to talk about you make some revelations in this film. You address the mental illness on your mother's side of the family. You address being Afro Latina and how painful that could be for you sometimes, particularly the way the kids would talk about your hair, calling you Frederick Douglass and stuff like that. How difficult was it for you to revisit those moments? Because again, those are very personal moments and moments that you don't want to sit in every second of the day. And yet you made the bold choice to include this so that it can resonate with others.
I think that I would have had this level of self-acceptance later on in my life, like in my 50s or 60s. But this just like helped me making this film. I was sort of forced, there was a forced level of acceptance because the mission was so much bigger than me and so much bigger than my feelings. You know? So sharing certain things, like there's things that I didn't share that I'm gonna keep close because they're mine. But for the most part, like what I did choose to share, I just, you know, even if it's cringe, it's like it's so small for me to like be like, oh, that's so cringe. I don't know. There's just like a level of self-acceptance that needed to happen, and it did, and it's really cool.
How did you get that nickname?
BEBA?
Mm-hmm.
Well, my mom, it's in the film, but my mom...
I know it's in the film. I saw the film, but people that haven't seen the film don't
know. My mom, well, I'm the baby of the family, and my name is Tribeca. So BEBA is like kind of in between, like bebe. In Spanish is baby. So it's in between bebe and Rebecca. It's BEBA.
You better roll them R's. You were like, listen, it's in the film. I'm like, Miss Thing, I saw the film. You are hilarious.
You know what I'm doing? I know, I like forget because in my mind I'm like, oh my god, we're having such a great conversation. Like there's like a larger purpose, you know?
It's all good. It's all good. What's the in closing it out, what is the one thing that you want people to take away? Because this is a very beautifully intense video diary, so to speak. But other than that, what do you want people to take away from it when they see it?
That they're not alone, and that there's no shame in being who you are, and there's no shame in fighting your demons, because we're all fighting our demons.
Thanks, Rebecca, for taking some time for me today. I appreciate you.
Carla, it was such a pleasure to chat with you. I loved being on the Curvy Critic. Thank you so much for having me. And I love the Malcolm X poster and the Nia Long. What is that? What is she doing?
That's Sanaa Lathan.
Oh, it's Sanaa Lathan. Okay. Maybe my screen's blurry.
That's okay. That's okay.
Look, I was like, Nia Long got a haircut, and then it's like, no, it's
that's Sanaa Lathan.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of your day now.